Welcome to an all-new, all-different episode of the C-List Villains podcast. Your cultivators of the comic culture, better known as the Uncanny Seaman.
Dude, it's crazy being a longtime listener of the podcast. You see from like all the magic happen with the intro, on standby. I feel like I'm in the green room at like a damn person or something,
Yeah, you are. I think that's the way it's set up to be on StreamYard, is to have our guests in like in this little, little portal until we bring you in. But having you just jump in right now and then start conversating is just as good too.
Yeah, dude, I'm honored to be here, man. Like I said, there's been some really cool people on this show that I'm following up, so it's really cool to be with you guys.
Oh, well,
thanks for coming, John.
Thanks for coming, John. Well, to start off, we are your hosts. Just Luke and I read the bonus one, and we're joined by Jon McCarthy, who is the creator of Endangered comic book. Let me get out your banner here. Let's see.
Flash that beauty.
Well, I somehow I'll have to share it here in a bit. Just make sure there's your IT information right there as well.
Awesome. Yeah, anybody wants to come follow us over on Instagram, we follow everybody back. We're trying to create like a cool community of folks that are not like pity follows, but people who are actually interested in the book or comics in general. So
definitely.
I'll take a pity follow any day. I don't even care.
We're trying to garner more subscriptions on this website. Yeah. We're close enough to 200.
Hey, pity follows help the algorithm. So
it does.
I still don't understand how that works, man. I started messing around with like an Etsy shop, for the shirts. We're doing some stuff from the books and stuff that I've worked on in the past. And one of the girls I work with went through like this $800 Etsy like master program to learn how the algorithm and how to your titles and all this stuff.
Wow.
And I still don't understand it, man. I like what triggers this AI to pay attention to you. I don't get it.
I know it is weird, but the one thing I've come to realize is that most of that stuff is bullshit.
It seems like bullshit for sure.
It's like their business, and if you have a good product, it's gonna sell.
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it as well. But all of the little, if you do this title and you got to look at this number of searches of people, and the more searches, you don't want to use that and all that side. It's like, all right, I don't get it. Just tell me what to put in the thing, and we'll just post it up there and see what happens.
Exactly, and then just share the heck out of it on all your socials, and one and done, baby. There it is, though. There's the beauty. Endangered #1.
That's it. Long time coming.
John, take us to the beginning on this beautiful book, because I know you have said it's a long time coming, but take us to the very first moment that the thought sparked in your head. What began this journey for you?
For this book in particular, man, I had this. I was sitting outside one day here in New Orleans, and it was it was like spring or summertime, and I was just kind of spaced out. I just saw these like ants crawling around on the ground, doing their ant stuff, and I just sat there and watched them for a while, and it was like fascinating. I was like, dude, could you imagine if these things were big enough to pose a threat to a person? You wouldn't be able to go outside. And so that's kind of how the whole origin of it began, is just watching insects and being thankful that they're really, really small, that because if they weren't, imagine. And then I heard it on a documentary or on a Nature Channel show or something once that if human beings were ever to go extinct from the planet, that insects would be the next to take in line, because the numbers of them.
Oh no!
Many, like the only thing that keeps them in check are human beings, and then the other members of the animal kingdom. But there's so many of them, dude. And so that was kind of the origin of it, and it kind of got stuck into my head. And I was like, all right, well, how can I make this into a story? So then you have to, sci-fi it up. And I've always been a big like pop culture fan, growing up in the late 70s and early 80s. So I've always had like a really like visual imagination, real vivid imagination. And I was thinking, okay, I know I wanted to do it as a comic. And so then you have to start adding in the the little special sauce to get it to where you want it to be. Okay, well, how do I get the insects big? And you do the nuclear war thing, which is kind of played out, but here lately it's a little bit more of a relevant threat. Growing up in the 80s,
Wow.
everyone was afraid that you're going to get nuked at any given time. We used to have these drills at school where they were like, "Oh, we're going to do a nuclear attack,
Right?
so hide under your desk." I'm like,
Yes.
what's going to do? In hindsight,
Well, it
We
was the
talked
Cold
about
War.
the windows breaking. It's
Yeah.
not the bomb. It's not the blast. It's the aftershock that's gonna.
Yeah, I remember being in school being like, I saw Terminator. I remember what happened when that bomb hits, like just everyone's vaporized. So you kind of just mix that stuff up in, add all your little special ingredients to kind of get to where you want to go. And where I wanted to go was basically create a world where the human race is almost extinct, and to prevent themselves from going fully extinct, they're going to have to try to take back the planet. And what's in their way are these insects now who have been mutated from the stuff that you'll see in the issue 1 that's facilitated their evolution. And now, for instance, like a spider is the size of like a sedan. I didn't want to do like kaiju sized insects because that was too much. I wanted to make it where like mammals, where they were like a direct threat, like the predatory species of the insect could take a person down by itself, like a spider.
Or are we gonna maybe see a queen ant with the kaiju?
I wrote. I'll give the inside here. I'm writing issue 3 now. I'm a little bit behind on my writing, but I'm banging it out. But I just wrote a scene where an android fights a 10-foot centipede. So that's the thing awesome. I'm looking forward to. Yeah. So it's crazy fun. And the other thing too was like, to kind of go back to an era of comic books where that kind of Bronze Age, late Silver Age era where sci-fi and these kind of creature stories were kind of predominant. And so this was kind of a love letter to that and a lot of the movies that I really liked. Starship Troopers, when I pitched it, I cited, I said, this is, in my mind, it's kind of a combination between Aliens, the second movie, Starship Troopers without the cheesiness, Jurassic Park, because not all insect, I wanted to have, there's a moment in issue 2 or 3 where you have I wrote in the script, for the artist, and this is our Jurassic Park moment where they kind of walk out like, Sam Neill's character when they see the dinosaurs for the first time, and most of them aren't going to try to kill you. They're just there doing their bug stuff, but you see these things walking around like a beetle, like 6 foot long, just kind of cruising around. So it was kind of a combination of that, and then there's a bit of a Walking Dead feel to it as well. I always like that comic book a lot. I feel like it gets kind of pooped on now because it got so popular with the show, but it's a good comic, at least in the early
Great
run.
comic.
Really cool, And I'm a big Robert Kirkman fan for his writing style and stuff. So that kind of Survivor feel to it as well. So what I wanted to go to. So this first issue just is a lot of setup. This is my first shot at science fiction.
Okay.
It was a bit of a setup, so it's a little wordy. I'm a writer, so I don't mind reading comic books with a lot of dialogue and a lot of text. So,
but you gotta set the story, right?
Yeah, some people are like, just give me the pictures, man. Shut up with all your word balloons. But,
well, according to Jim Moser, do the insects grow after a steady New Orleans diet of crawfish and poutine?
Hey, dude, that was the other thing around here. I've got videos on my Instagram, my personal Instagram page, with some of these moths that fly around here. Naturally they're like this big. I'm like, man, it's not that far away, really. They just need a little bit of this stuff you see that ant eating there. That was that's kind of the script. Is the concept is it's slightly in the future. The tensions across the planet continue to rise, kind of like they are now, where everyone's divided and constantly, inside and fired up, and that becomes untenable after a while. I feel like, and this in the story, these this worldwide team of scientists are all kind of working on trying to solve some problems, and they see this stuff happening, and then they kind of just using their scientific method or deduction, they realize that the most natural outcome is going to be a nuclear war. So they bullshit all the governments into spending all this money to build this big, massive space station that you see on page 2.
Yeah.
And they sell it to them as this weapon. And in reality, it was going to be a refuge for them to go to, so that they could start doing their work to salvage the planet from the inevitable fallout that was going to be happening. So they kind of get up there and then shut it off to everyone else and let everybody else die on the Earth. And then they spend several years on this station. They pick a specific geographic area and start showering it down with this liquid to kind of lower the radiation levels. Well, the side effect of that, unfortunately, was it really kind of ramped up. It's an organic molecule, and that came from there's actually real life. When you're doing science fiction, you want to base it on some real science, and kind of mix the fiction in and try to keep it somewhat balanced. But there's this real species of like fungi and bacteria that they found in like Chernobyl and stuff that actually eat radioactive material and render it inert. So it kind of took that and came up with this cohesion molecule stuff that they rained down on the planet to lower the radiation levels. Well, over the years that this has been happening, the insects that survived the nuclear war have been eating that stuff because it's an organic material, so they can digest it. And it just kind of kicks in their evolution and makes them big. And the plants as well. I was always a big fan of like Thundar the Barbarian. You guys remember that cartoon?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Kirby Yard and stuff like that. I love that type of like post-apocalyptic landscape with the vines and the plants kind of overtaking everything. So it's when we get back to Earth, which is what happens in issue 2, that's the kind of look that we're going with. Very, very vibrant, very overgrown and lush and stuff. So yeah. It's fun, man. I'm happy with it. I'm really excited. I got a really, really good team on this book.
Well, the art. Talk to us about the artist, because these pages, honestly,
yeah, he's killer, man.
These pages are incredible.
You
and
see
did
that
the interior guy do the cover, or are they different?
Yeah. On this one here, yeah, he did this cover. His name's Ron Joseph. He's been around for a little while. He did a lot of work on G.I. Joe, Larry Hama stuff with IDW, and he did the Dire Wraiths, the ROM Dire Wraiths series with them. And then he's done a lot of indie stuff as well. He's been working in comics for a little bit, but he's hella talented.
Look at that mech.
Dude.
That mech is sick.
Yeah, it's badass, dude. Yeah, it's really badass.
He's got a little bit of that Derek Robertson kind of inspired.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah, actually, oddly enough, I'm buddies with Derek. You guys had him on the show. He's a really good dude, man. And Ron is
Derek.
I think Ron definitely has some influence from Derek's style. We had met on Twitter, man. I think he had made a post or something that sometimes the artists will throw on there like, "Hey, I'm available. I'm really interested in like science fiction and horror." I'm like, that's exactly what I'm doing here, And then I just shot him a DM, and we really hit it off really well. He's a really good dude, and man, he's a pro's pro. He delivered it and knocked it out of the park.
Bullet straight through the head.
Yeah, it gets a little gnarly.
I love the she's very styled after Zilla off of Wildcats.
That dude right there whose brain gets blown out, his name's Hudson. He's a heavily based. This is spoiler alert. This is a simulation, that their training simulation they're doing there where they all get killed.
Oh, okay.
He's heavily based off of, I got an action figure up here of Hudson from Aliens, So he's got that same type of, well, this is just great. Why don't you put her in charge? That kind of. He's that kind of character. But
so there's a fight for leadership in the group based on this scene.
Right. So Ron came on board originally on this book on issue 1. He did the A cover, the main cover that you showed earlier. He did all of the interior pencils, and he inked his own pencils in this book. And then we found a colorist, a guy who goes by Jorge Martinez. He's in Spain. He's relatively newcomer, but we just kind of opened it up on Twitter and said, hey, if you're interested in the gig. And Ron has a lot more clout with that because he's a lot more established in the world of comics than I was. And so he threw it out there for a colorist, and we wound up getting like about 15 submissions. And Hav, man, just knocked it out of the park. He was like, I don't have a lot of experience, but I really want to be coloring comics. And he really delivered well, man.
Now, how much freedom did you give him, or how much input did you have versus, did you say just go with it, or did you say, no, I want like that character's hair to be blue and this background to be green. And...
Yeah, I mean, it was kind of a mutual thing. Like the script was, if you asked Ron, he was like, I had to ignore a lot of shit, you know, because it was my script. I don't write with the Marvel method. I write pretty specific, but I've been doing it long enough, and I've done a comic in the past, so I have worked with an artist before, and I put in my time and did my research, and I feel like I have a decent understanding of what the kind of language those guys like. None of them like micromanaging. They want to do their thing, you know. So I sent the script to him, and I was like, feel free to interpret this however you want. I sent some reference pictures on some things just so it makes it easier to get on the same page whenever I'm referencing like the mech suit or something like that. I sent him like Ed 209 combined with like the power loader from Aliens combined with, you know, this kind of thing. And then he kind of just comes up with this stuff like that. Yeah. Game over, man. Exactly.
Game over.
I actually met, God, I'm having a freaking brain fart now. But I met him at San Diego one year before he passed away, and got him to sign an action figure. I got a Hudson action figure up here signed. Bill Paxton.
Man.
Yeah, Bill Paxton. So that was he was a really nice guy. He spent some time with my son and stuff. So, and I love that character so much in that movie. But
yeah, Bill Paxton, he was the best.
Oh, he's awesome. But yeah, so Ron did a lot of this. He interpreted a lot of it. A lot of it's in the script, and I feel like it was kind of a combination with him reading my script and then adding his like visual to it. And he's really good too. He'll do these rough kind of mock-ups and send it to me, and we'll kind of bounce back and forth. And then he'll go in and start doing the detailed pencils and laying it all down. But yeah, that mech suit was awesome. I was like, dude, we got to have a freaking mech suit, you know. And that thing is actually a construction tool. It's not really even intended to be a weapon. It's
just like the loader on
it's what they. Yeah, it's what they use to build that space station for like exterior work in space when they need to make repairs or expand it. That's what that thing on his right arm there, those are rivets, for like riveting the skin of the space station.
Ah, okay.
And in this scenario, this like asshole kind of takes it over and weaponizes it, and they're like, "How the hell are we supposed to stop this thing?" And she shows that flamethrower in the back of it and just roasts that dude. Yeah, and then they all wind up getting killed. So it was a good, valuable lesson for our girl there.
John, I think it is so fitting. I'm just going to take you through this. So, early 1950s, Them comes out, which is a giant ants movie.
Yep.
And I loved that. I loved Them. I used to watch these old movies all the time.
Yeah, they're awesome.
Mid 70s, Empire of the Ants, the H.G. Wells story comes out, which was so incredibly silly, but I've probably watched it 5 times. Late 90s, Starship Troopers comes out. 20 years later, Endangered come out. When are we going to see this on the big screen?
Dude, that would be ideal, man. Honestly, my thing is when I was talking to the publisher, Blood Moon, I was like, dude, it would be cool if it got adapted into something. It was not made, you know. One of the things when you start writing or creating comics, you know, you guys can tell, y'all read a lot of books, man. You can tell ones that were written to basically serve as storyboards for a movie. And then you can tell ones that were written to be a comic book that get turned into something else. And this was really, my thing was to make a comic, you know. If it ever gets adapted, it would be freaking awesome. I mean, it would be super cool to see it. I would love to see a action figure line. That would be my, like, you know, like my pinnacle is if I get a figure line made out of it. And then who knows, man? You never know what'll happen with it. But
are you looking for like a continuing arc, or are you looking for at least a 5-book arc and then end it there and then continue on with another arc after that?
That's a little bit why I'm kind of slightly behind. I'm not really behind on the writing, but I originally started doing this and we pitched it. We created this on spec, so we didn't have a deal. We just made the first issue and started shopping it around. Shout out to my boy Nathan Jared, who is he's the silent backer of all of this stuff, because these things are expensive. Because your boy here can't draw shit. I can write, but I can't draw. And in comic books, if you want a professional artist, you have to pay for a professional artist. And when you try to get a solid team behind a book, which is what you want, it gets a little bit pricey.
It does.
But
I was gonna say, I mean, hiring someone like your interior, I was like, that is probably a little bit of money per page.
It is, man. But luckily, I got a buddy of mine. This dude, I met this guy when he was I think he's 30 something now, or just turned 30. But I met him. He was in high school. We used to play Left 4 Dead 2 together on Xbox. I've met him in person twice, but for probably 8 years, I knew him only on Xbox playing Left 4 Dead, and we just became really good friends, man. And I was talking to him about it one day. I said, I got this comic, and I really want to transition into doing comics, because I'd written up my book, and that got published, and I wanted to parlay that published author thing into a comic book project. And he said, hey man, I might be interested in it. Let me read it. So I sent him the script, and he really liked it enough to where he was like, all right, I'm down with it. Let's do this together. And he just covers all the bills for everything. Thank God, because I got a wife and 2 kids, man. I can't, and a comic book addiction. I can't afford to.
Plus a day job, right? As a EMT.
Yeah, he is a freaking paramedic. Yeah, So, but Nathan came on board with it, and he committed to it, man. So to answer your question, Red, it was originally intended to be an ongoing series. When I pitched this book, and you guys have had some big name guys from comics on here, and when I pitched it, I was like, all right, this is it's probably one of the best times in history to come out with a book, right? I mean, because people are loving comics right now. People are taking chances on indie books, which used to be a lot.
It's a golden age. I think, like I said, we're in a golden age of comics right now. We really are.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. And back when it was really booming in the 90s, I mean, that was kind of when I really got back into actually collecting and paying attention to stuff, was in like the early to mid 90s. And there was a ton of like indie books out, but I don't feel like a lot of people were really rolling the dice and taking a chance on indie books. They were really niche at that time. But nowadays, with the success that Boom and all these other indie publishers, even Beyond Images almost these days is almost Marvel or DC. They're still an awesome publisher, the way that their business models and stuff are set up and the way they do things. But they're a massive publisher. But there's enough of this pie right now for smaller publishers to come in on. And so I feel like with Blood Moon is who we signed with. I feel like they're kind of coming into it. They're new, and they're kind of coming in at a good time. So when I pitched it to them, the contract that we did, they said, all right, we'll do it, but we'll do it as an 8-issue series. We'll give you 8 issues to tell the story. So I had to kind of go back and make some changes to it to tell the story that I wanted to tell in 8 issues. And obviously it's not the entire story, because this is kind of a new world setup thing. So it could go forever. I mean, it's like I said, in the sense of like The Walking Dead, when you take one of these types of stories, and there's a bunch of them out like this now, when you kind of set up this world, if people like it and react and respond well to it, there's a million stories you could tell in this world, like in any of those other worlds that have been formed. So when we did the contract, we signed for 8 issues, pending sales. Naturally, they can cancel it if it doesn't sell, but we're shooting for 8 issues. That was the goal. But when I came out, I was like, this is a perfect time to come out with a comic, because people are taking chances on indie books. Man, I get them all the time, and you guys know I sell them on the side. I started doing that about a year ago, because I knew we were going to do this, and I really wanted to kind of get some experience and get a better understanding of how the retail side works. I felt like it would make me a better creator to understand retail, and how customers deal and how comics work and Diamond works and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, I started doing that about a year ago, and my headset's over here chiming at me. I was just playing Xbox a little while ago, but so we decided to shrink it down from an ongoing to an 8-issue series, and I forget what even my point was on that. But,
well, what was
how long would it take?
About Blood Moon? How did you find Blood Moon? Did they find you? What was the connection between Blood Moon and?
Oh, that's a good story, dude. That's a really good story. I was at the point that kind of reminds me what I was talking about before my old brain shut off on me. It's a great time right now to come out with a comic, because people are taking chances on indie books, even small books like this.
Sure.
But when I started pitching it, I realized that, there's also a lot of turmoil that a lot of people don't realize right now in comics, with, like you guys have talked about it on your show, with Dark Horse, the majority of their company being purchased by a foreign company. And, there's all these talks about all these other small to medium-sized publishers in mergers and things like that. So it was chaotic. I think there's this paper shortage and things like that. So while it was a great time to sell a comic or come out to the market with a comic, it wasn't the best time to try to get a publisher to pick up your comic. So I pitched it, and I start sending it off to all the ones you would think you would go to, you know, the guys that were accepting submissions or the people that I had some sort of contact with. And that's a bit frustrating if anyone's ever done a comic book project before, because you pitch, and then I used to be an actor years ago, so it's kind of similar in the sense that if they like you, you'll hear back from them. If they don't, you're probably not going to. How long should you wait? Yeah, it's up to you. You know, month, 3 months, 5 months. You know, if you haven't heard anything back from us at some point, we're not interested. You're sitting around, you going like, well, shit, man. When are we gonna do? Are we gonna do this or not?
Like, how many publishers did you have to go through before you hit?
I pitched to probably 7, but and I didn't hear one of them, and I don't remember which one it was. Got back to me, and they were like, "Hey, we like it," which was good, you know, because anytime you create something, man, everybody I've ever known that's any form of an artist is insecure on various levels, you know. And I've been writing for a long time, so I'm pretty decent about when I know that some of my stuff sucks or when it's you know, when it's all right. And I'm like, this isn't a bad story. I'm confident of that, you know. And I have enough people around me who don't blow smoke up my ass and who like, no, this sucks. You know, don't do that anymore. Focus on something else, you know. So I'm like, we already went through that, and I was like, and I even sent it out to some comic book fans, just the script. Just dudes that have bought books from me or that I'm in like Luke's room and stuff with. I like, hey man, you want to read this? And they were like, yeah, I'll read it. You know, sent it to them. They're like, oh, this is cool. So I knew the story wasn't garbage, but I was hearing back. One of them got back to me and they were like, we like it, but our slate's full. It doesn't fit with what we're going with right now. I was like, oh, that's awesome, man. You know, but the other ones, you just don't hear anything back. So it's probably like 6 or 7, and I'd gotten frustrated because I really, really, really did not want to have to go the crowdfunding route with it. You know, my thing was I wanted to get with a publisher so that we could get it into previews. And other people have said, oh, that was not that important. But to me, it was important because I wanted it to be out there where shops could order it, where people could pick it up, and we could do some fun stuff with it. Hopefully, you know, that was the goal.
Yes.
So, but I was getting frustrated because I wasn't hearing anything back. And it had been like 2 months after the pitches had started and there was no real feedback coming. And I was talking to my friend Anna, who's the editor on this. And I was like, dude, I really don't want to do this Kickstarter thing. Nothing against Kickstarter. There's a lot of great comics that come out of that. I just didn't want to do it. I had created my own comic back in like 2009, 2010, fully self-published, fully everything old school style. Schlepped it around to conventions and sold it in shops, you know, and shops will take a book like that. And they're like, if they take it at all, they'll say, we'll do it on a consignment. And, you know, I didn't want to do that again, but I'd done it.
One book on consignment.
yeah, you know, and you
$2.99.
And you can't afford to print 5,000 issues. So you're printing, you know, 500 and you have to charge like $6 for this indie book, you know, so it's a bad scenario. And when I had done it before and I was like, I just don't want to do that again. I feel like everyone who's making a comic should do that because that's a learning experience that you're not going to get in any other. You can't watch YouTube videos or learn that. You have to go.
Well, you're starting your own business, basically.
Yeah. And that's exactly what it was, you know, but going to cons and talking to people and going into shops and trying to sell this book and figuring out why nobody's picking it up or all of that is really valuable stuff, but I'd already done that and I didn't want to do it again. So I was like, I really wanted to get with this poster, but I was frustrated and she and I were on the phone and I was like, man, dude, I don't know how much longer I can just sit on this book because Nathan, my friend I talked about, he's got money invested in this, you know, this is thousands of dollars for this art and stuff, you know, it's expensive. And when someone is willing to believe in me and put money on a project like that, just in my dream to fund it because they believe in it with me, man, I feel a massive sense of obligation. And I explained to him going in that the business of comics, you know, it's unlikely, you know, the odds are not in your favor that you're going to have this windfall of cash because you have to sell a lot of books, you know, to make your money back. You know what I mean? And he knew that going into it. But I, on my end, I feel an immense sense of obligation to him to do everything that's in my ability to get him as much of his money back as he can. You know, I don't even care about me at this point. I'm like, dude, you believed in me, you put the money up, and we made this thing. So I'm going to do everything I can do to get it out there. So I felt like the best way to do that was to find a publisher. So I was talking to Anna on the phone. I was really frustrated. And I was like, I guess I don't know, man. I'm going to give it like another week, and then I'm going to have to start researching Kickstarter. And I talked to some friends who had done Kickstarter comics and stuff. So I'd never done one. And that night I went to work, and it was kind of chill. We were about to go out somewhere, and I opened up my phone, and Twitter had just started doing these things on there called Spaces. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Twitter at all, but they started this new part of the Twitter app where it's a thing called a space, and it's actually really freaking cool. You can go on there. Right? Yeah, you go on there, you create a topic, and then you just post it, and then people hop in on it, and it's like a conference call where you can talk. It's like this, except it's only just audio. There's no video. Mm-hmm. And so you can get an infinite amount of people in this space, and you just chime in and have a conversation about something. Well, that night I was at work, and I opened up and I saw somebody had created a space that said, "Let's talk indie comics." I was like, shit, I'll talk about some indie comics. You know? I hop in there, and I was a little bit salty, you know, and I was like, hey man, this is the deal, you know. And so I gave this long speech. I'm like, I've done the literary publishing route. I've worked with a publisher. I don't know what else I can do on my end to make myself appealing to a comic publisher. I don't know why in the shit none of them are willing to give us the time of day here or whatever, you know. And it's not their fault. You know, I understand the business side of it. But it just so happens in that space was this guy, Keith Rommel, who he's the co-owner of Blood Moon Comics. And so I go on this long rant, and I'm answering some questions because the room is mostly full of like kids you can tell who are just starting, like, you know, I want to make my own comic book. You know, they're young, probably high school. They have the dream, but they don't know shit about how to do it, you know. Mm-hmm. And I have a little bit of that under my belt because I've done it before. So I was answering a few questions. And then Keith chimes in from Blood Moon. He's like, hey, John, I have a publishing company, and I'd be willing to check it out. I was like, what? And so I had to go to work, so I got out of the space, and I literally DM'd him on Twitter. I was like, hey, man, were you serious? He's like, yeah, I'm serious. So I sent it over to him, what you guys have up on the screen right now. And he's like, this looks awesome. Let's do it. And he shot me a contract, and we signed it. And here we are, man. We'll be out June 15th in previews, I think, in April previews.
Nice. And are you going to sell the digital copy as well, or you're just going full on print?
Yeah, he'd done before. Blood Moon had done a thing before. It used to be Comixology. I didn't realize until our book that Amazon bought them, apparently. So they don't exist anymore. So now everything is done through Kindle, through Amazon. That's the new Comixology. But yeah, it's up for pre-order on there if people like to read digitally. As far as other digital platforms, I'm not sure how that would work. But in the contract, what we did was we signed an 8-issue agreement for a monthly release. So this first issue comes out June 15th, and then it'll be June, July, August, September. Now, I did talk to the publisher, and I said, all right, listen, you have this clause in my contract that says if the book doesn't sell, you can cancel it. Now Keith so far has been loving everything that we've done. He's like, anything you want to publish, we'll do it. You know, so we have a really good working relationship with the Blood Moon folks. But and they've been really, really, really easy to deal with, really awesome. And but I told them, I was like, so what I want to do is I'm going to do these 8 issues. It's a one story, but there's a clear break in the middle, so we can do 1 through 4. Then we're going to take a month break to make sure that everything's selling and that we're not at risk of being canceled, you know, because I don't want my boy pumping money into issue 5 or 6 and Blood Moon's like, this thing's not selling. We're probably going to give it the axe, you know, and then we're shit out of luck. So we're going to do the first 4 issues, and then those can turn around and be collected into a trade. So we'll wind up doing, the goal will be, we'll do the full 8 issues, and we'll do 2 separate trades and kind of go from there.
Now, is there a goal on as far as monetary return before they go on to the next 4 issues, or
no
number for how many?
I don't think he didn't give me like a hard all right, if you don't sell, you know, 8,700 issues, you're scrapping it. He said the main thing is you want to come out of the gate strong. He said from comics, the literature or the research in comics is The first issue needs to do well because typically there's about a 40% drop off on issue 2 and 3. And then you'll get some people coming back on for like 4 and maybe for the end of the run. So, I mean, all we could do is get it out there and hopefully folks dig it and pick it up and see, I do have a buddy of mine that's one of the guys that buys comics for me. He moved down here to Louisiana from New Hampshire. Adam Kaufman is his name. And it just so happens he's a really good dude. And he owns a marketing company.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. And we were talking. I was like, man, you got to give me some pointers on like trying to get the word out about this thing. Because I don't want to be like, I don't want to do like anything disingenuous. I wrote this book because I love comic books, as you could see. And I wanted to make a comic book for people that like comics. Hopefully people who like this type of sci-fi action stories will like this book and get down with it. Because I'm telling you, issue 2 is balls to the wall. They're back on Earth, and it is bug fight. I mean, it's fun, dude. It's fun writing it, and so I know it's going to be enjoyable for people to check out. But
I see Luke right now checking out your wall behind you because he's looking. Maybe there's stuff that's for sale right there.
None of this is for sale. No, I may have gotten this advice from Luke, actually. I don't remember. I've been buying from Luke for a minute now. But Luke got me actually this Ultimate Fallout 4 up here. Got me a really good deal at double signed Clayton Crane and Brian Bendis Ultimate Fallout 4 he hooked me up with. But I try to make the hobby pay for itself,
Yeah.
Like I have my books that I love, and I will buy books that I'm like, okay, this is not for me, but I know it's cool and other people will dig it. And then I'll sell that and get my books, because my wife.
John, this is how crazy 2018 was. Those Ultimate Fallout 4s, I was consistently buying those for $20 each.
Dude, I think you sold
could
this
buy it for $20 each.
You sold this to me, I think, for like $125, $130 or something. Double.
Yeah, $125, and I was like, cool. I mean, I bought it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I said
now it's worth like $1,000.
Dude, it's graded right now, and it's weird. CBCS graded it. They gave it a 9.0, but they put like an asterisk beside it. I'm like, what does this shit mean? They're like, oh, it presents better than the grade is. I'm like, then why isn't it graded higher? What does that mean? I don't understand. But
maybe they're saying it could use a press and a clean, and then they'll bump up that grade.
I guess, dude. I don't know, but I'm not a super big condition snob either. I'm not one of those guys. I just like
in 2018, that's when Clayton Crane he would only charge $5 for a signature, any signature, and Brian Bendis was free. So
yeah, I met Bendis a few times, man. I always like that. Some people give him a hard time. I don't know why. I like that. He's a sweetheart of a guy, dude.
Oh, he's the nicest. He's like the nicest guy ever.
Yeah.
All the big name guys are. There's a reason why they're so big, because they're so easy to work with. They're nice. I mean,
yeah, dude. Every one of those guys. I've been going to San Diego. It's been kind of sucking my soul out these past couple of years, not been able to go. But I've been going down there since like 2009, 2010 or so. Mm-hmm. And you guys know, you've been to that show. I mean, that's where you'll meet everybody at that place, especially with comics. Because I was out there 2019, the last year we went before COVID and all that. I was there with my oldest son, and I was getting Marv Wolfman to sign. I brought a whole shitload of books for Marv Wolfman to sign. Dude, he's at his table at Artist Alley. There's nobody there. Every time I went down there to get him to sign books, there's nobody standing there. I'm like, did you guys know who this is? Dude, he's just sitting here at his desk, old Marv Wolfman, just, I'm like, Jesus, and occasionally there'd be one or two people over there. So I end up getting like probably 20 books signed by him, and John Romita Jr., same thing, super nice guy. And he's like, yeah, I'll sign him, man. I don't care.
I think that was the same year that Bagley was at that Artist Alley, and then after that, be Silvestri, and I think McFarlane was there later in the day.
Yeah, I met McFarlane a few times. I remember that dude could go down and just walk up to the table and get him to sign stuff. Now it's like a lottery system, to get a ticket and and all of that jazz, So he's a hard dude to wrangle now.
His last signing up here was in 2020 at a comic shop, and 1,200 people showed up.
Dude, I got this one. This one here. I didn't get his lottery wristband thing to get it signed, but there was a dude in there. It's like, oh, I'm just getting one thing signed by McFarlane. I was like, he was doing two things at a time. I was like, would you mind having him sign this? He's like, oh yeah, sure, I don't care. So I wound up getting him to sign that Hulk 340 for me, which is I'm a Wolverine guy. My oldest son's named Logan. It's based off of that book right there. You can see that Wolverine 1. I remember reading that as a kid.
We're going back on the subject where you're doing the marketing for the book. Will we see you at the next convention for San Diego or anything near your area? And
I'll be there for sure. Yeah, I'll definitely be at San Diego. I don't know if I'll be. What I'm hoping to do, I know Blood Moon won't be in San Diego because that's that show is a harder one to get a booth at because there's usually backlogged for years to get a table there. What I'm hoping to do is maybe team up with a vendor or someone who's just selling comics, and if because a lot of those dudes usually don't have like booth events and stuff going on. So if they would want, if they want to get down, I would love to do something like that. That's one of my dreams, man. I've been going to that show for so long and getting books signed and taking my book back in the day, like I said, and like I remember giving it to Robert Kirkman, and he just came out with a zombie book, and then me and Thomas Jane almost got into a scrum because he was, everything's fucking zombies, because my book was a zombie book.
Wait, is that the guy from The Mentalist?
No, the dude from like The Punisher, Thomas.
Oh,
Jane,
that guy.
in The Stand, or not The Stand. No, it was the Mist. Was it The Mist? Anyways, one of Stephen. He was in one of those movies. Yeah, he was a bit of a tool, but it's like Gene Simmons from Kiss, and it's like, hey man, this is my comic book. You want to check it out? And he's like, yeah, sure. And he tells me like this inappropriate Michael Jackson joke, from Gene Simmons from Kiss. Shit, it's crazy, but no, that's one of my dreams, though, man. Is I've been going to that show forever, and I'm like, I want to do a signing out here one day and have somebody who gives enough of a shit about my work to say, hey, man, when you sign this book, it'd be killer. I would love to do that. As far as conventions, I want to do as any of them that'll have me. Blood Moon is located in like Central Florida, and he said that they're doing a couple of cons down there, I think, around the release date, and he's going to bring me down there, and we're going to do some stuff, but I'll do anything I can, especially I'm hoping to, with the marketing guy, Adam, I was talking about, I have a little ADD, so I get off track easy. But Adam, the guy that owns the marketing company, he agreed to kind of come on and help me put his team behind this book. He's like, man, listen, he goes, I love comics. I love comics. He goes, the stuff that we're usually doing is honestly is boring as shit. It's like some engineer invented this new gear that they want us to try to sell to some jet engine manufacturing, Boeing or something. He's like, it's just so boring. I just don't care anything about this stuff. He goes, so yeah, I'll put the team on your book. We'll just do it for whatever it costs us. So, but I told him, I said, that's cool, but I don't want it to be disingenuous. I want it to be like real, but I also want to sell comic books. So it's
are you gonna get the artist on board with you as far as like having an appearance?
Yeah, I hope so, man. He's in a good position because Ron, the artist, his wife is a nurse, so she's a traveling nurse. So they kind of bounce around a bit. But yeah, we're definitely going to try to. I will be doing something wherever he's at the time it comes out. We're going to meet up and do something somewhere for sure. We have the. Did I send you the ratio variant, Red? The other cover?
No. But we could just go ahead and send them to me later. We'll post it on our socials. A
good friend of mine named Robbie Musso, who's I had put him in touch with you guys, I think, at some point back about trying maybe doing the show one day. But he's a old school like Transformer artist. He did Transformers, Speed Race.
Yeah. Hold on, let me grab that. I think he did give me a photo.
Yeah, he did a variant for us for this first issue off of that mech suit, where we did an homage to the Transformers 5 cover, which is just a classic with Starscream and Transformers are all dead, that cover. And so we homaged that for this first issue, and Robbie drew that, and it's freaking killer. But yeah, man, I hoping my thing too is like I wanted to reach out to all the comic shops. That one on the right. That's we're doing that one as a 1 in 5 to try to hopefully get retailers to pick it up. But yeah, you'll get one of those for every 5. But yeah, Robbie Musso did that B cover there, the variant off that Transformers 5 homage. And he knocked that out of the park, dude. It's so awesome. I love that cover.
I love that cover.
Yeah, it's really cool. But yeah, that's the spider on the planet. That's the A cover. That's the main cover. And then we're doing that other one as a 1 in 5 because Robbie's work was great. I wanted to do it to hopefully try to inspire retailers maybe to pick up, more than like 2 copies. Maybe they'll get 5 to get one of those variants. But I didn't want to make it like crazy so that it wasn't accessible because I'm like, he did an awesome job on this book. It kills me when some of these dudes do like these 1 in 1,000 variants. I'm like, man, there's only like, 1,000 of your book out there, which is cool for the collectible, but not that many people are really getting to enjoy it, And I'm like, I told Robbie, I'm like, I want people to be able to have this book. This is freaking awesome,
Mm-hmm.
So we're doing the 1 in 5 thing and see how it goes, and hopefully the retailers like it, appreciate it. But my thing is like, any retailer who is willing to take a chance and pick up this book, because I've been messing around over here with Umbrella Comics, is who I do the little sales through sometimes. It's a buddy of mine's shop. I know how much those diamond invoices are. I mean, Luke, you've talked about it on here. It's not cheap when you start putting in those orders for comics from Diamond and all the other distributors that you have to order through.
Well, especially when they send them empty boxes and still charge his credit card.
Yeah.
I got another one. I got another one Monday. Another empty box.
That would make me freaking crazy. But if any retailers out there, dude, I will work with them, even if I know it's like prohibitive to like bring me up to wherever they're at or whatever. But I'm totally down to do some sort of event or however I can help them sell the book. I would be honored to do it because I love comic shops, dude. When I grew up in Tallahassee back in the late 70s, early 80s, there really weren't comic stores traditionally. And I get all my comic books. I'd go to this flea market, and there was this old Spanish guy that had a booth, had a bunch of long boxes, and he would just sell me these like Silver Age Marvel books for like $4 for $1 back then, And that's how I grew up reading comics. I grew up on Fantastic Four and all these old fun Silver Age, Bronze Age Marvel books, man. I grew up in the Bronze, so I'm technically Bronze Age myself.
Well, once a fan, now a creator of Endangered. Will people being curious right now, where can they pick this up or when can they pick this up?
Well, it's coming out June 15th. We should be in, if it's coming out June 15th, we should be in April's previews, I would imagine. So you can have your shop, put it on your pull list. Hopefully if you're out there and you're doing this, man, hopefully you have an LCS where you're at and you have a pull list with them. Because I know that's how a lot of those dudes have their guaranteed source of income every month is by ordering these books and having not having to sell them. They're already pre-sold. So if you don't, start a pull list, and you can add this to your pull list. Follow us on Instagram, obviously at the bottom there it shows, and I will be steadily promoting the book as it gets closer to the release date. It is June 15th. It's going to be available at any comic shop that wants to order one. There's a lot of online like LCSs that just do online stuff. You could probably, Luke, you'd have a Diamond account still, huh?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, you go.
I'm not ordering though anything right now.
Oh, okay, all right. I was gonna say you could hit RKFA up and get them to order you a bunch of comics, but you can.
Still waiting on the stuff to clear up with Diamond, Penguin, and
Oh yeah, well, I don't blame you for that. I wouldn't order anything either if they were sending me empty boxes. I'd be like, no, we're gonna get this sorted.
All my money's going to these empty boxes.
And it's probably an empty box if I had to guess. But
you can get it on Amazon.
Well, Miss So, I hear you guys saying her name constantly. Thank you, Miss So. And I never understood how to spell it. I thought it was like miso, like the soup. Close. I see you're on there. It's great. It's fun being on this side of things, man. I hear everybody's comments every time I listen to the show, so it's awesome.
Well, I think Ashley fell asleep.
Yeah, man, so they can get it really wherever, man. Anywhere the comics are they normally get their comics for, they can ask them to be ordered. You can get it directly from the Blood Moon website. That one gets a little bit crazy because they have to ship it to you, so it's like $10 for the book plus the shipping. So,
I'll do it that way as well. That way I can get a copy and get a copy of the guys here.
Yeah, man.
The Blood Moon.
I'll order some. I can maybe shoot you guys, send some out to Luke, and he can distribute them out to you guys and check them out. But yeah, and all I would ask anybody is just to take a chance with it, give us a shot. Like I said, issue 1, I love issue 1. I'm proud of it. It's a big setup issue, so it has established this whole world and stuff. So it is a little wordy at times, like I said, but I don't think it's boring. and it's just setting up the proverbial shit to hit the fan, and that happens in issue 2, and when it hits the ground running, it doesn't stop. So there's a lot of coming up in that 8-issue arc. There's a lot of little surprise things that happen that you won't expect. Some nice little, at least I think they're going to be fun little characters introduced and things that you maybe weren't expecting to happen that happened. Nobody's really safe. These folks, they're going into a very dangerous place. So be careful which character you fall in love with, because they might not be around for long. It's no one's protected. So it's one of those types of worlds. But
so maybe in the future, you'll probably shop this to Netflix and maybe have them pick up a live action universe.
It'd be awesome, man. And hopefully I can't formally announce it yet, but a buddy of mine, Rich Clark, who did a lot of work. You talked about Derek Robertson earlier. I ain't trying to put you on the spot, Rich, if you're watching this, but he and I are talking. Hopefully he's been around doing it for a long time. He did a lot of like old school Marvel stuff, Dark Horse, John Carpenter's comic book stuff. He's done a lot with them, but he and I might be doing another one of my projects that I wanted to kick off this summer. So that's kind of what I wanted to do is kind of hopefully come out into the comic world with Endangered. Hopefully people like it enough, because I've been writing them now I did that book on my own back in like 2009, 2010, that little fun zombie comic that made 1 issue. And like I told Red before the show started, it sold tens of copies worldwide. And ever since then, man, my goal was to write comics. And I've spent all that time working on my craft and writing scripts and pitching scripts and trying to find an artist to work with and get these books made. And it's a challenge, and it hasn't happened, but I've continued to write and create. So I've got a hard drive full of stories that are comic stories that I want to tell, that hopefully this will afford me the opportunity to do that.
Now, where can everybody reach you as well as your socials? That way, when there is more news coming out with your profile, as far as like your other creations, where can they get you?
Yeah, man. On Twitter, I'm not super active on there. I just go in there and follow the Saints stuff usually, and some of the comic book guys on there. It gets a little bit toxic at times to stay on there too long. We decided to do this book to really go for Instagram. I like that platform, where we can just kind of post stuff and people can comment on there, and it's interactive, but you don't have to worry. It's like the lowest toxicity level, I feel like, of all the social media platforms. Like it's harder to poison Instagram.
Yes,
you can still do it with the comments.
But you're either a hot chick or a creator.
That's true. Yeah. And if there are any hot chick creators out there that want to plug in Endangered, holler at me. Influencer or two to throw it out there. But no, man. Again, this is a book that, when you're doing these books and when you're researching, writing comic books, they tell you, it's just like doing anything else. Like, write what you know. Well, I don't know the world of giant bugs and science fiction, but I do know what I like to read in comic books, and that's kind of what I'm going for to create this. This is a book that I would want to read, and that I think will be fun. And the whole motivation of it is if you liked Aliens, if you like Starship Troopers, Walking Dead, Jurassic Park, those types of things, those old. I'll set you up with this one, Red. I call these BBCs, but big bug comics, not
the other BBC.
It's a whole other thing. Red,
that goes along with BBW.
And and it's not the British Broadcasting.
None of that.
But no, I wanted to do just something fun, man. Like I said, these are old school. Like Luke, you're talking about earlier with those old films and stuff, man. It's I got probably 6 or 10 of these old Bronze Age, Silver Age, just bug comics. These Tales of Suspense, or not Tales of Suspense, House of Mystery, and all of those types of books back in the day where they would just, there's this. I got this Jimmy Olsen book with these giant grasshoppers all over the cover. I mean, it was just a thing they used to do back then because it's fun. Those old Clash of the Titans, and like I said, Thundar the Barbarian, all that kind of stuff is up in here, and that's stuff that I love. So that's kind of what I'm hopefully. I don't know if I've accomplished it or not, but that's the driving factor behind making this thing. And we got a great team, dude. Like I said, these guys are killing it. Garrett Berner he does the letters on it. Ron Joseph staying on it now, and we brought in a new inker for issue 2 onward. So Ron's going to be able to really just focus more on his pencils and not have to ink his own pencils. And the pages I've already seen, it's really like, raised it up a lot, because I think it's like Ron said, he doesn't like to ink his own pencils because he gets too critical, and I think he tries to make too many like adjustments on pencils when he's inking it. So having someone else do the inks, it's liberates him a little bit more. So his art's great, but it's up. I think it raises it as we go. So we gotta really. Hell, man, I even have an entomologist, a friend of mine, a PhD bug scientist on board that I've consulted with back and forth. Helen Hull Sanders, man. So we have a PhD entomologist behind this book who I reference all the bug stuff on.
Well, you just got to have your expert for your source material, so that's a good person to have on your team.
Dude, she's awesome because she's a legit scientist. So she keeps the science in the science fiction. Sometimes you have to take some some creative license, but I hit her up like, how do these bugs hunt? Or if you're in this environment, what would you have to worry about? And blah blah blah. Yeah. She's always like sending me like, oh, you got to do this bug. I was like, I don't want to do like a bug feature every book where I'm featuring a new insect species. I need it to be like, constant and active. So we really should. That's when you're doing this. You were like, oh man, I want to do a scorpion scene. Okay, now I want to do a spider scene. Okay, now I want to do a bee scene. But you don't want to do that. It has to just flow. So that's kind of how the story. I've really made a conscious effort to not do that, to make it so it's more organic when they're rolling through there and they get jacked by something or how I have to deal with some kind of bug. But yeah, man, it's fun, dude. It's a lot of fun to write. So I'm hoping that'll translate to the reading experience for it.
Well, guys, it's going to be on June 15th for the release. So ask your LCS to order you a copy of the first issue of Endangered by Jon McCarthy and what was your artist's name?
Ron Joseph.
We
did this. The funny stories. We did this on the cover. My brother's name is Joseph McCarthy. That's my brother's name.
Wow.
Ron's last name was Joseph, and my last name's McCarthy. So it was stupid. We did it as an inside joke so my brother could tell his stupid friends that he made
he created the book.
Now it's turned into a whole thing. So now the colorist hit me up, was like, hey, man, why is my name not on the cover? I'm like, all right, we'll put you on there. And then the inker hit me up, was like, hey, man, my girlfriend said my name should probably be on the cover. I'm like, Jesus. So we're going to, at some point, we're going to have the entire credits page on the front of the cover of the book.
Well, it's the first one. They all want their
and they all deserve it and they all get it. So, it's having a team like this. It's a lot of fun. I'm having a blast. I hope they're having fun. Like I said, they're the only damn ones getting paid, so they ought to really be enjoying it. And they love the contract for an ongoing series, because when you're dealing with pro artists, for any people out there who have any intentions of doing a comic book, when you approach an artist, my advice is approach a professional, because I've worked with people who are talented, but there's a reason why they're not professional. Deadlines and being able to do what they say they're going to do. That's what you get with the pro, and it's worth paying the money for. But you have to understand that this is what they do for a living. Like, that's whenever they're drawing something for you, they can't be drawing something else. So you have to pay them accordingly so they can make their money. You guys have Aaron Bartling, John Jang, all these dudes on here, and Ariel Diaz and folks who've been on your show, and I'm sure they would testify to that. People are always like, hey, can you draw me something else?
Whatever, you got to piecemeal their art. That way you get the maximize work potential out of them.
Yeah, man. So it's really cool to be able to do this as at least an 8-issue series, so these dudes will know that they'll have at least a somewhat steady paycheck coming in the next 8 months, which is fairly rare, I think, in that industry, especially when you're breaking into it or kind of like a journeyman or freelancer.
Well, fans, look for it June 15th or have it ordered through your LCS.
Hey,
your comic book. All right,
repping.
Appreciate you, John.
Yeah, man. Thank you guys, dude. This is freaking killer.
Thank you so much for coming on.
We kind of went over the time limit as far as like the allotted segment, but we'll keep moving forward here.
I'm more red. I talk a lot.
No, it's good. It's good. What we always want is more content with our creators, and then getting your stories. And now you came about how you made the book, and you met with a publisher and your artist. I mean, there's a lot of stuff to do on the whole process of creating.
Hey man, no bullshit, really. You guys' show, just hearing these guests on here that I've listened to, it's inspirational. It keeps me kind of motivated. Like I said, I go to these cons like San Diego and stuff, that like recharges my like creative batteries, and it makes me want to like create. So when I listen to these folks on your show talking about their stuff, everything from Ross Ritchie to the, like I said, the artists and stuff that you had on, I'm like, man, hell yeah, dude, I want to be a part of that world, So hopefully, folks out there maybe in that same mode right now, and just do it. You're only here for a little while, man. Might as well make something awesome while you're here and something fun.
That's some great inspirational words right there. Sweet. Well, you want to stay for a little bit? Then let's review one trailer that was just released this week.
Hell yeah, man. Let's do it. I would love to be a part of it.
Luke?
Nice to meet you, Misso.
Let's finish strong.
Dude, let's do Kenobi.
Let's do Kenobi. All right.
I watched this. I want you to pay attention when the kid does the whip and nay dance.
Let me bring it up here. Let's see. Hit the share. Not the slide. I don't want the slides. Share screen.
I don't know you're the tech guy on this show.
I'm recently the tech guy on the show.
Lucius Fox. Listen, I'm not even going to get into it with you guys about the offense I took from listening to you guys talking about that Batman episode, saying that fucking Riddler was better villain than Heath Ledger's Joker.
Well, that's another discussion for another day. But here's the trailer right now. Give me 1 second to click play and go.
The fight is done. We lost. Stay hidden. The key to hunting Jedi is patience. Jedi cannot help what they are. Their compassion leaves a trail. The Jedi Code is like an itch. He cannot help it. Where is he?
Hear it. Heard the breathing.
Heard the breathing.
Hey, dude, I'm about it.
I mean, you can't. Ewan McGregor is, I would say, top 25 actor in the world. You know what I mean? That's not.
Yeah.
That's nothing against Temuera, but would he crack the top 1,000? I don't know.
Yeah, probably for what he's doing, he's a good fit for it. But as far as leading an acting ensemble, yeah, I don't think so.
Well, I think Filoni and Favreau put more love in the Kenobi show versus the Book of Boba Fett.
It's very obvious.
Yeah,
very obvious.
A lot of the action stuff was handled by Robert Rodriguez. No, I don't want to put him on blast, but just he's an action director, and there's not a lot of substance to his movies. They're great.
Yeah,
just when they Boba Fett, they grabbed the other directors, such as
all the action scenes in there everything moved slow. It's like
slow.
faces were like dude,
except when Steph Green and Bryce Dallas Howard directed, and those episodes were freaking tastic.
They need to give her the reins too. She needs to be up there with Favreau, Filoni, and Bryce Dallas Howard.
I have a feeling that she's gonna take care of the Ahsoka series.
Is she the one heading that?
I'm hoping that she is. She
needs a lot more assignments.
Yeah, she did great, and the Steph Green episode was really good.
Dude, that Obi-Wan thing looks so.
This feels like a movie. I mean, it just doesn't even feel like a series, and it's being pushed as a limited series. So
you said
4 episodes,
4 or 6 at least.
Yeah, they at least better be an hour, dude.
Yeah,
at least each one.
And of course, there's not going to be a second one, right? Because leads in episode 4.
Yeah, I don't know how far back it is, but I know there was like they have a whole period there. Did you read Luke or Red? Did you guys read that Kieran Gillen that Vader run for Marvel that he wrote, the first Dr. Aphra and all that happened?
Yeah.
There's a lot cool stuff that goes on in there, you know. But
Well, they showed Luke in the trailer. I think it was Luke, and he looked to be about 8 or 9.
Was that him doing the whip and the name?
Exactly. Yeah.
I didn't know if that. I didn't get that was Luke. I didn't. I guess.
Well, I mean, he was watching with binoculars, so
that was Luke.
Obi-Wan was like, dude, Obi-Wan is,
and that was the house.
Yeah, he looks like he would be another 30 years.
Well, I mean, come
beyond
on.
where he's at on this show. You know, Alec Guinness.
Alec Guinness was already like 70, so
yeah. I'm hoping they just take some time, man. I mean, if you're gonna use this to kick off like real badass Darth Vader, because that's what they think people really wanted Boba Fett. What people really want is like badass Darth Vader to show how, you know, not slow moving, you know,
lumbering, like,
yeah,
walking on robot legs.
No, they want like the dude that like beats ass, who got the reputation for being legit for a reason, you know, and hopefully they'll stretch that out a little bit and give him some room to breathe. You know,
like at the end of Rogue One, that kind of badass.
That dude,
yeah. That.
Did you ever see the fan edit of that Obi-Wan and Vader fight where they put in actual like fight choreography?
Yeah, I have.
That kind of stuff where they're like grabbing stuff and throwing it like it's legit, like sword fight. You know.
Yeah,
but it was supposed to be like that samurai style of slow and
kendo or kempo.
Was a kendo stick, so I guess it's
kendo, where they're just like slapping each other around. When the earlier fights in you know, Phantom Menace and up to Revenge of the Sith, it's more than swashbuckling swords. It's, you know, you got your fencing, you got your, you know, every style that they got in the book. As far as like,
I did hear a rumor though that I hope is true with this show. The rumor went like this: they said that Cad Bane was killed off in Book of Boba Fett, and everybody was like, WTF. You know, you introduced this guy just to kill him. But they said that he was an older character. He's at the end of his time. So that might have been his end of Cad Bane. But this Obi-Wan takes place apparently in the prime of Cad Bane. So the theory that I heard was he's going to be featured in this series.
Oof, so I love that.
Everybody's dumping those Darth Maul, was it 1s or 3s or whatever? I still got mine. You know?
John, I'm sitting on 15, 20 copies of that, and I did not put them up for sale for this.
They went crazy for a minute.
For that reason, because you don't want to sell a book and then 5 days later have it crash.
Right.
And then everyone's like, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like,
what's so funny right now is, you know, that there's like 1 million of those at CGC right now. People saw Cad Bane and they sent them in, and now they're just like, fuck. But the one that's on there, that's the Grand Inquisitor, right? From that, he's from that Charles Soule, like that's the Charles Soule Darth Vader run. I think it's like issue 5 or 6 or something that he.
Well, and he could be killed off in the first.
That's my thing. I'm like, if Darth Vader is in this show, what are these dudes?
But who was the lady with the lightsaber? She looked bad with the armor and the lightsaber.
She looked awesome. Yeah,
I put the guy that looked like he came from Big Trouble in Little China with the gong looking headpiece.
Yeah. Yeah.
Was she a Jedi or Sith, do you think? Or
red
lightsaber, right?
Oh, was it red? Okay, so it was red. So, but does that mean Sith or? Because I don't really follow the Inquisitor storyline too much.
I haven't read it. I have that book though, because I know everybody was like, "Oh, you got to have this one." I did read and love that Kieran Gillen Vader run, that Dr. Aphra one that she was introduced in. That's a great series.
Did the art,
yeah, LaRocca, I think, did that. But that's a great series if you haven't read that one. But I haven't read the Charles Soule one, so I'm not sure. Is it Soule or Soul?
So I think it's Soul.
Soul. But
I've met him a couple times, but I think it's Soul.
So what do you guys think? What would you guys grade the? I guess just the trailer in comic book grading? John?
Man, 9. I'm saying 9.6.
Wow.
I'd say 9.6.
Yeah,
Just off of I got from watching it and feeling like what it's going to deliver. I'd say 9.6.
Just enough to tease you and get you really excited.
Yeah, for sure.
Hey, Luke, what are you scoring it?
I'm gonna go 9.4 only, and the reason why it's a little lower is because I have extreme Tatooine fatigue right now, and but I saw some water, and I think we saw some other planets. But so if we can get off Tatooine for a little bit, dear God,
right. I mean, I'm with you on that, dude. It's like this is a big world you guys are exploring here. Let's go someplace else.
It's a big universe, a big galaxy.
Yeah,
that's why when Mando showed up in Boba Fett, I was like, thank God, we're off Tatooine for 2 episodes.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll take it some other places, man. Obi-Wan had a lot of adventures though, for sure. So hopefully
he was not on Tatooine the whole time. I mean, he went, at least. We don't know. Actually,
where he went to just chill. Right?
There's the book. I mean, there are the books, Kenobi, and I've read those. And that is mainly him on Tatooine, but
and there's still that fight with Darth Maul, right? Unless that was only on Rebels.
I don't know. I hope that's a character that I hope gets to come. I was really hoping he was going to come back in the Boba Fett show at the last episode. I was hoping you would see him rolling up in there, but that's somebody they really need to bring back because Ray Park. I mean. You guys have been to enough cons. I'm sure you've run across that guy.
Oh, he's like a con whore for sure.
But he is about some Darth Maul. Every show he's out there doing like lightsaber displays for kids and stuff.
Everyone. Now, do you want him? Now, if Darth Maul came back, do you want him in the little, quadriplegic? Or do you
just put him on some black pants, man? You can reveal it, with a lightsaber strike, and you just see the metal legs. Yeah, give him some Terminator legs. You don't have to see him. Yeah, his little. He doesn't need those, I don't think.
No.
Well, I'm gonna score it at 9.6 along with John. So definitely looking forward to May and watching this show with you guys and reviewing as well. So I guess this is our show right here. Luke, where can they reach you and where can they shop for books?
Yeah, come check us out. RKFA Comics page on Facebook and IG. Wednesdays, Sundays, 3:30 to 5:30.
Highly recommend that show. He's a good dude to buy from. I bought a lot from him.
I know, pretty chill. Slow and steady. My goal is slow and steady.
Slow, steady, very fair. Gives you what you pay for. Gives you way more than you pay for. I say that much. So,
Agreed. And John, where can they reach you again?
On Instagram, it's the best way is at Endangered Comic, or on Twitter, it's at John Mass Casualty. That was my old comic name, was Mass Casualty Comics.
And you can reach me at Sealess Villainous Red, and you can reach E-Man at Sealess E-Man, and AJ at AJ the Comic Collector, and as the group page or the group account, which is the Sealess Villains and the Sealess Villains Podcast. Guys, great show tonight.
Great show.
I really appreciate you guys. I really appreciate you guys having me on, dude. It's truly an honor. Hopefully, I'll get to come back maybe after the issues start coming out. Meet the other guys, they'll get back.
Sure, come back.
For sure. We're gonna bring you
wrangle Ron, or maybe have him come on with us,
And someday when you get the movie deal and you're, you hired Tom Cruise to play the you're contractually obligated to come back.
100%. I'll bring all the cast with me if that ever happens. You have my word. I'm really looking forward to getting up to Portland. I do plan on going to Portland, Luke, with this book, regardless, because my buddy John Paul, I think you met him recently. He's up there.
Paul.
Yeah, and so and obviously that's Comic Book Utopia and Nirvana up there.
Man, we'll have to we'll do a little get together.
Yeah, I would love that.
Plan it out here offline, and then we'll end the show right now.
Guys,
thank you for watching, and we'll catch you next Monday.
Catch you next Monday.
See you guys. Thank you.
Thanks again for listening to another episode of the Sealess Villains Podcast, your cultivators of the comic culture. Make sure you follow us on Facebook and email us at sealessvillains@gmail.com. You can also leave us a voicemail or text us at 209-975 888-885-7597. Be sure to join Luke Week's Facebook group, Rare Keys and First Appearance Comics. And you can follow us on our 2 Instagram accounts, C-List Villains and C-List Villains Podcast. Lastly, follow the villains on their separate IG accounts, at Luke Weeks, at C-List Villainous Red, at C-List E-Man, and I am at AJ the Comic Collector. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you all next episode.